Hello and welcome to the 411 of Mental Health Services training, presented to you by Esmeralda Hernandez. Nueces County Community Action Agency 4-5 Head Start program promotes children's mental health and social and emotional well-being through classroom support and mental health consultation services and offers parents an opportunity to learn about mental health interventions. In this next video, you will learn how high levels of stress can impact a child's lifelong health and well-being and what Head Start and you can do to help.
I believe that this is the greatest unaddressed public health threat that our nation is seeing today.
I don't want my kids to have to go through this.
If I can get out, you can get out.
It's awesome for the mom to see, I did that for my kids. It's intense. It's powerful. ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and that comes from the real seminal study that was done by Dr. Vince Felitti and Dr. Robert Anda. They found there was a dose-response relationship between early adversity and numerous health and behavioral outcomes.
The more ACEs you had, you numbered them, right? 0 to 9 or 10, the more likely it was that you were going to have one of these diagnoses.
What was really an eye-opener for the medical community was that if you had 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, your risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease was 260% as compared to someone with an ACE score of 0. For hepatitis, it was 250%. And so we really begun to understand that there were biological and physiologic underpinnings and a direct connection between early adversity and health problems in adulthood.
Pediatric care is at least a 2-generation process, right? Because if you think about it, your patient, the little kid, are going to achieve many of their ACEs, neglect, abuse, through their parent or somebody related to them. So you have to address the ACEs in both of those generations.
We have a lot of mothers, young mothers, who they themselves have experienced toxic stress from many exposures in their lives, where their trauma's never been treated and now they're trying to parent.
Growing up, I got to hear a lot of stories from my mom about how my grandma did a lot of things to her, abused her in so many ways, and she in turn did the same thing to me.
The focus of my clinical practice is really thinking about how we can reduce the dose of adversity that kids are being exposed to. ACEs include physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, physical or emotional neglect, a parent with mental illness, substance dependence, or who had been incarcerated, domestic violence, or parental separation or divorce.
Toxic stress is repetitive, chronic exposure to stress, meaning bodily stress, which is unremitting, right? And which is in the absence of what we would call protective factors. Which usually means for kids, a nurturing adult in their life taking care of them.
Imagine you're walking in the forest and you see a bear, right? And immediately your body releases a surge of adrenaline and you have what's called a fight or flight response. And that is wonderful if you're in a forest and there's a bear. But the problem is what happens when the bear comes home drunk from the bar. This fight or flight system, which is supposed to be a once in a very long time life-saving response, is activated over and over and over again.
I didn't have a good childhood. When I was 6, my mom's boyfriend killed my little sister in front of me.
My biological mother had every addiction that you could think of known to mankind.
There was no parenting in the house at all. There was no house at all.
She never spent any one-on-one time with me, or never.
I indulged in her addiction with her. I was no longer her child. I was just there.
Social emotional buffering, being in a caring relationship, having adults in your life who are able to self-regulate and who are able to model self-regulation helps children to be aware of when that is not happening. And sometimes all you need is that one. All you need is that one to establish a baseline from which you're able to recognize, wait, this is not right.
When you see an issue and can make it better, you ought to, because it will be with that child forever.
When I was growing up, my mom was not in my life, you know. So my teachers were like my mom.
My support system is just amazing. These people, sometimes when I don't think I can make it, they know I'm gonna make it.
What we see is that kids who are exposed to chronic adversity tend to have tremendous amounts of behavior problems in terms of self-regulation, angry outbursts, the ability to recover post-provocation. The behavioral issues are the ones that we see when a child is 2 and 3 and 4 years old, and they portend long-term health problems, and we can see that in kids when they're little.
Focus a lot on social emotional wellness here. So we really put a lot of that into the curriculum. If we don't have that foundation, that we can't do anything else. You know, if you have a child that is not socially or emotionally well, then we can't expect them to sit down and do a lesson on math or literacy or something.
Because as one mom said to me, you know something, I can't give away what I never received. And so you're giving them that.
I go to the counseling, you know, for me, because a lot of things with my childhood are still affect me now that I'm an adult.
I never thought in a million years that I would be anything but a junkie. There was no light at all. I thought that was my destiny, to get high and live in that life and prostitute. And today, what I'm proudest of is because I know that I'm way more than that. So, way more than that.
Children communicate mostly through their behavior. So like this meme here, the little girl is crying and then she gets a little bite out of her snack and she's happy again. Or the little girl that's in the top, she has a huge smile and she looks obviously happy and excited about something that's going on with her. She's just beaming. So we have to look at the child's gestures. We have to look at their mannerisms, their facial expressions. We have to look at the context of the situation and assess it and help the child, because if their speech is limited or their ability to express themselves is not there, then sometimes we misunderstand what they're trying to get across to us. And so we really need to start digging deeper, be attuned to the child, be observant, and provide the child with the words or the way to communicate what they need and their wants. What are we communicating to the students? What is our facial expressions and our hand gestures telling the children? Not just the adults that come into our classrooms or that we work with, but to the children. The children actually see you through every phase of your workday. And they pretty much can tell how you're feeling and what's going on with you by the expression on your face and by your body language. So what are you giving off to them? Are you giving off smiles and hugs and making them feel welcome? Or are you doing like the gentleman, that standoffish, his hand is up, seems to be blocking people from getting near him, and then you have his finger to his lips, gesturing to either be quiet or I'm angry, don't talk to me. Not very open, not very nurturing, not very inviting if he was a teacher. So whose class would you want to be in? The young ladies or the young man's? In my opinion, I want to be with the young lady because the children around her have smiles on their face and they're in close proximity to their teacher. So obviously they feel secure with her presence. Guiding children's behavior and supporting children in solving problems are two ways that you can help children when they're having a difficult time in the classroom. What we may see as challenging behavior may actually be a cry or maybe display of needing assistance, of needing help, of not understanding what to do, or having a hard time adjusting to the schedule in the classroom. So many things are going on throughout the day and it's hard and it takes time to shift gears as adults. So imagine a child that they're being told clean up, and it feels like you just told them they could do free play, but now you're telling them it's time to clean up. So it becomes a little bit difficult. But by using timers or maybe using picture schedules, doing social stories, things of that nature that could help the child, that's going to help every child's, because all children learn differently. Okay. Behavior is a form of communication. The behavior, whether appropriate or inappropriate, is happening for a reason. Our job is to try to figure out what the child is trying to communicate with us through analyzing the child's behaviors. Using the handy 4 function of behavior chart, we discover the acronym SEAT, S-E-A-T. Now we're going to go ahead and go over this little chart here. I really like this. I reference this quite a bit, not just with children, but with adults sometimes too. It's the same thing. So it's broken into sections. The first section is going to be the functions, which is S for sensory, E for escape, A for attention, and T for tangible. The next column is going to be the icon that goes in reference to the function of behavior. The next column is what it does for me, and the last column is when does it happen. So the first one is sensory. So it has to do with your senses, your taste, your smell, the touch, things like that. What it does for me, well, for this instance, it says provides preferred sensory experiences, behavior that feels good to do. So for instance, I'm going to use myself as an example. If I'm wearing a jacket and I am in a stressful situation, or maybe I'm overwhelmed or anxious, I might be doing a presentation, and if I have a zipper on my jacket, I will be zipping my jacket up and down, up and down, up and down, for no particular reason other than it feels like it calms me down. I like the sound of the zipper going up and down, first of all, and I get a little vibration on my hand. And lastly, it really does soothe me. For some reason, the sound and the vibration I find it very relaxing and soothing for myself. So when does it happen? Anytime when I'm alone, or especially if I'm anxious. I can attest to that. For E for escape, it's trying to break apart, you're trying to get away from something, is the icon. And it's what it does for me, it removes the undesired activities or interactions. So for instance, if you have a child that does not want to go to the carpet, and instead they're running around the classroom, they're trying to get out of going to the carpet. Whatever is going on the carpet, they do not want to be part of. When does it happen? So it says when task is too hard, easy, boring, or scary. So if maybe the activity that you're doing is boring, or maybe it's too advanced. They can't sit still for the length of the story, so they don't want to be there because they don't want to call attention to themselves, and you as a teacher are going to be telling them sit down, stop wiggling, don't be moving. So rather than hearing you say that as a teacher, they're going to get up and run away and go do something else. Attention. So that's going to be, the icon is two people almost touching, right? Trying to get their attention. What it does for me, it provides access to people or interactions. So for instance, you may have a child that is trying to get your attention and they use curse words instead of calling you by your name. Well, that's really going to catch your attention if they're cussing and calling you a different name that's a curse word. That will get your attention. And it may shock some children, and it may shock you too. So that's like a plus for that child. So when does it happen? When they want to have some social interaction with you. So they're trying to call you, and they may feel like they need to use these curse words, or they need to be loud, or they need to be jokesters, instead of just, asking for your attention. Say, I want to talk to you, teacher, or can you come sit with me and play with me, or can you show me how to do this puzzle? Instead of, they don't have the ability or the skills yet to ask that they want you to engage them. Tangible. Well, this means it's something that they want. The icon for that is an iPad or iPhone. There's a little apple on this phone or iPad. What it does for me, well, it provides preferred items or activities. So I'm gonna have a tantrum, or maybe have a fit, because I want to have something. I want to keep doing something, or I want to have something. And it's going to be something that's tangible. It could be the computer, it could be the blocks, it could be the cell phone, it could be anything that they can hold on to. It's tangible. When does it happen? When I want a preferred item or activity. So what some children have learned is that if I pitch a fit and I'm crying, I scream and I yell and I curse and I do all these things, and I may get that item back, because sometimes teachers, parents, caregivers will say, here, just take it, just take it. And the child learns that, well, if I do the screaming and yelling and have a fit, I may be able to keep that tangible item for myself after all. And the blue sofa that I have here is just as a reminder that SEAT stands for the 4 functions of behavior. If the behavior function is sensory, calming strategies are recommended. The idea is to help the child settle their body so they can move past the problem and they can regain some control. They need to gain some of that sense of control of the situation. And the only way to do that is to calm their body, calm their mind, to settle their little jitters that they may have because they're so upset. So some breathing techniques would be good for this. Blowing out bubbles is one way to do this as well. And then, the little girl that's hugging a teddy bear, that's a good way of releasing the stress in your body, where you tense up, you squeeze something, and then you let it go. So you can use a squishy ball or a stress ball or a stuffed animal like this case, or you can also use the glitter jar. That always helps too, to be able to breathe and watch the glitter settle. And it's something that you have to work through with the child sometimes, to look at it and have them use their imagination as you're watching the glitter settle. If the behavior function is escape, utilizing a timer or using a picture schedule could be helpful for the child, letting them see what is going to be happening next. If it's something that they don't want to do, like maybe clean up because it's going to be time for story time, they may not want to do that. So they're going to try to escape the story time and stay in the centers. So giving them some verbal cues and some visual cues as to what's going to happen next. You can also use the tool, the first and then tool. In this example, it says you're going to clean up the toys and then you're going to eat a snack. So you always want to pair it up with something that they really don't want to do, and then with something that they want to do. So first you do the one that you don't want to do, and then you get to do something you want to do. And then giving them choices, letting them have some control over that and when to do things. Sometimes they're trying to escape things that they might feel is a little bit difficult for them to do, like maybe sitting at the carpet, and they know if they sit in the carpet, they're going to be wiggling and they're trying to get out of that. So they don't want to cause any problems. They don't want to get called out for wiggling at the carpet during story time. So they act up right before. So if you give them something to do, maybe while they're waiting, or letting them know this is, having a choice is, do you want to listen to this book or do you want to listen to this story? So if the behavior function is attention, then you want to provide the positive reinforcement before the behavior happens. You want to give them that attention before the behavior starts to slip up. So I really like that I caught you being good jar. I kind of would have rather it been something besides good. So maybe you could put, I caught you being kind. I caught you taking turns. I caught you sitting on your chair. If it's a child that likes to throw the chair, you want to reinforce. I saw you sitting on your chair during the center time, when you were playing with the manipulatives at the table. So let's give you a little fuzzy ball. And, maybe at the end he gets to do something fun with that little fuzzy ball. He gets to make a art creation or something. You want to use token boards and help them to work for something so they can earn something. So, and the token boards, you're going to document, or you're going to give them tokens for doing things that are on task, and then they get to earn something that they wanted to do. So if they earn the token, you don't take it away. They've earned it, that sticks with them. That's what they get for doing something that's on task, and it's used as a reinforcer. But using verbal praise is good. It's good to do. It's easy to do, but you have to have intentions with it, not just good job, good boy, good girl. That's the way to do it. You're fantastic. No, you want to say you're fantastic because you did blank, blank, blank. If the behavior function is tangible, you want to provide the child with the transition activity or replacement activity. For instance, Kyle, he wants to go and play on the computer, but Sally is already there. And before he goes up to Sally and pushes her off that chair, you want to call Kyle over and say, Kyle, why don't we pull out your activity box and see what's inside, and make sure there's something that he really enjoys that's in there for him to do. And once he's engaged in his waiting or his transition box, you want to reinforce out what a great job he's doing of waiting, and how hard it is to wait sometimes, but that he is really trying so hard, and that he must be so proud of himself. On the picture on the top with the two little girls, they're in really close proximity, and that really could have escalated to where I had it first, or it's my turn, or whatnot, but they're working cooperatively. So you want to encourage them to work together, to be able to solve problems together, to have like a buddy system. Encourage them to say, you know what, you can stir the coffee and she's going to pour the coffee. And that kind of gives them each a task, and they both feel like they're gaining something out of that toy. Prior to submitting a mental health referral for a child who's displaying challenging behaviors, the teaching staff will initiate the ABC data log for at least 2 weeks. On this data log, the teacher will document the antecedent, which means what happened right before the behavior, which is what did the child do, the consequence, what happened afterwards, and the action or response that followed the behavior, and what is the possible function of the behavior? What did the child obtain from the behavior? An example that we have here is happening at the carpet, transitioning child or children to centers. And the antecedent is she was not picked first to go to centers. So we understand that little Sally was not picked first to go to centers. The behavior was she got upset and hit a child. The consequence, now consequence does not mean her punishment or what discipline was imposed on the child. It actually means what does she get out of it? What does she do? What happened afterwards? What was the reaction or the response? So her reaction was she ran to the home living center. And the function of this behavior, is it sensory? Is it escape? Is it attention? Or is it something tangible? It's tangible. She wanted an item. She wanted to use the computer first. So what you'll do is you will track all this information. You'll look at the different times and you'll try to find a trend and find what is the triggers to the behavior and what can we do as far as providing preventative skills or preventative measures for the child so we can avoid having issues. Now this form is going to be kept in a blue folder. This is new, brand new off the press. That was just decided like an hour ago that we were going to keep this in a blue folder, and it's going to be issued by the Disability Mental Health Services Department. And then also we are changing it to having the child's assigned number in place of the child's name for confidentiality purposes. And that's why we're keeping it in a blue folder. So if you leave it out, that's nobody knows who it belongs to. It has the child's number and not the child's name. Zoning to Maximize Learning Observation Tool is part of the Tools for Supervisors observation form. The actual tools are from the ECLEC website, and these are part of the 15-minute in-service suites. You can always go back and you can reference the 15-minute suites. You can look at the presenter notes, and you can look at the learning activities, and then watch the videos for some samples of what would be considered zoning to maximize learning, for instance, in this case. Redirecting behavior is one of the tools for supervisors' observation forms that the site-based manager will be using to conduct a classroom observation. Now, for instance, this form is actually used to support the supervisor in providing teachers with feedback on their strengths as well as the areas of improvement. The Stating Behavior Expectations observation tool is the last form that the site-based manager will be using to conduct the observation of the classroom. The purpose of the child staffing form is to document decisions made at the staffing by the staffing committee for the child and/or caregiver. A staffing is a meeting that is held when there is a reason to discuss concerns, progress, or a referral for any reason. The staffing committee then comes up with the plan to assist the child, family, and staff to meet the child's needs in the classroom and at home. This form is completed and signed through the agency database, which is ChildPlus. For behavior concerns, the site-based manager, family advocate, and teaching staff conduct the initial child staffing with the parent and guardian to discuss behavior concerns. At this time, the child staffing recommendation for mental health referral can be made and discussed with the parent. The child staffing form in ChildPlus will be completed. This is a copy of the Head Start Child Staffing Form for the school year 2019 to 2020 and the current year, which would be 2020 to 2021. If a child has had a child staffing, then this will be in the database under the Family Service tab. The mental health referral process goes as follows. Implement and document conscious discipline strategies on the lesson plan for 4 weeks. Utilize strategies issued by the Disability Mental Health Services Department and/or the Education Department. The teaching staff initiates the ABC data log for at least 2 weeks, and then the site-based manager conducts observations using the tools for supervisors observation forms. Observation is conducted on the teaching staff, not on the child or children that are being referred. Child staffing conducted by the site-based manager, family advocate, and teaching staff, and documented in the ChildPlus. Submit a mental health referral through ChildPlus and email the Disability and Mental Health Services Department that a referral was submitted into ChildPlus. Site-based manager will submit the completed ABC data log and observation forms. What next? An observation will be conducted within 5 to 10 days by the Disability Mental Health Technician or Coordinator. Implementation of the ABC Behavior Plan, and conduct the child staffing with parent and coordinators. Referral will be closed as incomplete without supporting documentation. So please make sure that all the documentation is submitted as soon as you submit the referral on ChildPlus. The ABC Behavior Plan in ChildPlus is a new form. This tool is used to analyze the child's behavior that will be used to create a positive behavior support plan for the child. Members of the planning team will analyze the behavior to see what is causing the challenging behavior. Are the needs of the child being met? What skills need to be developed? And what is going on that causes the behavior? This form is actually taking the place of the ABC Positive Behavior Support Plan that was a manual form that we were using. So if you want to look at it, get a sneak peek at it, go ahead and log on to ChildPlus, look under the Mental Health tab, and you will see an ABC Behavior Plan. This is a sample of the new ABC Behavior Plan in ChildPlus, and it can be found under the Mental Health tab. The Disability Mental Health Coordinator or the Disability Mental Health Technician will complete the form with the teaching staff. The purpose of this form is to receive permission from the parent for mental health services for their child. The mental health consent form states that the parent gives consent to a consultation, to an observation, an assessment, the play therapy, family therapy, and behavior intervention plan or positive guidance plan. Now, what's a little bit different about this form now is that it has the parent phone number and it has the parent address. So when we scan it over to the mental consultant, they actually will see everything. Everything's there. They have the address, they have the insurance, they have the name of the parent, they have the name of the child and date of birth. It has all the information on here. So this is a really good form for us to use to document services for the child to get consent. Little Sally's being a helper. She discovered that somebody put all those Legos in that bag when they really belong on the floor. The Permission for Therapy Services form is used to obtain written parental and primary caregiver consent before allowing the mental consultant to have unsupervised access to a child in your care. If a child receives mental health services by the mental consultant, the parent must sign the permission for therapy services prior to starting services. When the form is completed, email or fax the permission for therapy services for all children that are receiving mental health services at your site to the Disability and Mental Health Technician. It is a good idea to get all this paperwork done prior to the services being provided to the child so their consultant does not have to leave because he cannot or she cannot pull the child out. They can provide services in the classroom, but it's always best to have this form filled out just in the event that they want to use the therapy room. The MH service log is completed by the Special Needs Assistant. The Special Needs Assistant, or the SNA, maintain daily documentation of their assigned child or children, and what they document on there will be their IFSP or IEP, which are the measurable outcomes or goals on a daily basis into that database. And they will also document and follow the Child ABC Behavior Plan for any of the challenging behavior. And the SNA will document and follow as well as the highlight of the day, concerns, and plan for tomorrow. This form is only to be completed by the special needs assistants, and they will be documenting at the end of the day for their assigned child or children. This is a copy of the MH service log that the special needs assistants complete for their assigned students. This log can be found in ChildPlus under the Mental Health tab. We will be now discussing the suspension and expulsion policies for our Birth to 5 Head Start program. Suspension is the temporary removal of a child from the classroom, program, or school, and expulsion refers to the permanent removal of a child from the program. There are 4 types of suspension and expulsion that we will be going over in this PowerPoint. The first one is in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, soft expulsion, and expulsion. Suspension and expulsion. The limitations on suspension are as follows. Nueces County Community Action Agency Birth to 5 Head Start program must prohibit or severely limit the use of suspension due to a child's behavior. Such suspensions may only be temporary in nature. A temporary suspension may be used only as a last resort in extraordinary circumstances where there is a serious threat that cannot be reduced or eliminated by the provision of reasonable accommodations or modifications. Prohibition of expulsion. The policy states Nueces County Community Action Agency Birth to 5 Head Start program cannot expel or unenroll a child from Head Start because of a child's behavior. Now, I understand there's instances that may seem that they warrant the child to be expelled, and if that's the case, we need to make sure that we have documented all the steps that we were taken and that we've consulted with the parent, the mental health consultant, and the child staffing committee. If there is a serious safety threat to the child or other enrolled children, then we need to take that into consideration as well. NCCA will facilitate the transition to an appropriate place if we do follow through with an expulsion. And under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, to ensure that child who satisfies the definition of a disability in 29 U.S.C. 7059B of the Rehabilitation Act is not excluded from the program on the basis of a disability. And if the child does have a disability, then we do pull in resources from the LEA, which is our local education agency, and ask them to come out and do an observation of the child in the classroom and to assist our teaching staff with best providing services for the child. Or if they feel that maybe this is not the best placement for the child, then an ARD will be held with the parent and the child staffing will be held with the parent to discuss the results of that. Because yes, sometimes it may be a little overwhelming for a child with a significant disability to be in a classroom of, let's say, 17 other children. And we have to take that into consideration as well. But we will not solely expel a child because they have a disability. It is just something that we consider and bringing in resources for them. In-school suspension. Practices that involve removing or excluding the child from the classroom. In this picture right here, it is an extreme form of removing a child. And I'm more than sure that this educator was dealt with severely for doing what, dragging this child down the hallway. But unfortunately, people don't often think about the way they remove children, and that is not any of us that would be doing that, because we have already received the child maltreatment training and we know better, because we respect the children that we work with and we are there to provide them a safe and nurturing environment. So getting back to the in-school suspension, it may not seem like you're doing much harm by removing a child and sending him to a different classroom, or sending him to the family advocate's office or to the site-based manager's office. But it is against our policy and procedure for discipline and guidance. So that's already telling us we can't do that, or that we should not be doing that because it's prohibited. But also, it's not good practice. The children do need to work with you, and you work with them. If you are sending the child to a different classroom, or you're sending them to the office of the site-based manager or the family advocate, then what you're actually doing is you're taking the concern or the issue that you have with the child's behavior and moving it somewhere else, and you're losing the power or the authority of your classroom by doing that. The child sees that you can't handle the situation, and they may try to do the behavior again. So we need to be able to analyze behavior, work through it, and see what we can do differently to help the child develop skills, rather than us removing the concerns that we have into somebody else's classroom. Like I said, it's prohibited for the Office of Head Start, and it's prohibited for our agency as well. Practices that involve temporarily removing children from the program is considered out-of-school suspension. For instance, sending a child home, whether it's for half a day or the whole day, or excluding them from school for a couple of days because of the behavior. That is considered out-of-school suspension, and it's not acceptable with the Office of Head Start nor with Nueces County Community Action Agency. Practices that make it so the program is not a viable or welcoming care arrangement for the family and leaves the family with little choice but to withdraw their child. That is an example of soft expulsion. And unfortunately, just like in this meme, the parent is really at the mercy of the staff, as the teacher or the administrator. Whatever they're saying to them, they're taking it all in, and all they see is, I need to get out. I need to pull my child out so I can provide some relief to the teacher or the administrator. It's not fair that they're working with my child and my child's having a difficult time and it's challenging behaviors are out of hand. And it's obvious that the parent in this meme is really concerned and is most likely thinking that she is at their mercy. Look how she's sitting. She's closed in, her hands are holding her purse close to her. Her expression on her face is one of severe concern. So as teaching staff, as family advocates, as coordinators and site-based managers and technicians, our job is to help the parent feel that there is hope, that there is an opportunity for the child to learn new things and new skills. And all we need to do is be consistent, provide them with the services and resources for the child, and give them that encouragement. Because not only are they going to be in Head Start, they eventually will be going into public school. Or maybe they're in early Head Start and we're going to be transitioning them to Head Start. So we have to be that support system for that family, and especially for that child. They're so young and we should not give up on them yet. They have the rest of their lives to work through these things. But for now, let's help them work through it now. What is expulsion? Expulsion is permanent removal or dismissal from the program. And our agency does not practice that. It's prohibited through the Office of Head Start and prohibited through our policy and procedures.
My job today is to guide us in tuning into the perspective and experience of the child who is expelled. In this case, it's Charlie. So this is take one, Charlie and Miss Tina. Hi everyone, my name is Charlie. I just turned 3 and I am on my way to preschool. My mommy is really stressed out. We had a crazy morning. There is so much to do and my daddy leaves for work super early, so my mommy has to do it all by herself. Get my brother and sister ready to make their bus in time, and then get me to school so she can go to her daytime job. That's right, mommy has to work 2 jobs, one at night and one during the day, so we can keep our apartment and not have to move in with Aunt Teresa. Our car ride is super tense. Mommy wasn't happy with me because I dilly-dallied. I have a really hard time getting organized in the morning, and I wasn't ready in time. Not feeling too good about myself right now. When we get to school, I don't want to say goodbye to Mommy. I hate it when she's mad at me. I start to cry and won't let her go. My teacher, Miss Tina, tells me it's time to say goodbye and that I need to find something to do. I am frozen. I look around the room at all the kids playing, but I am so upset that I can't think. My feelings are taking over my brain. Then Joey arrives. I am so happy to see him. I pull on his arm to take him to the sand table to play, but oh no, he says I'm hurting him. Miss Tina comes over with an angry, scrunched up face and tells me to let go of Joey immediately. She shouts, "Charlie, I've told you 1,000 times you cannot grab your friends. You need to use your words. No one will want to play with you if you hurt them." She acts like I did it on purpose. I'm just not so good with words yet. Miss Tina tells me to have a seat at the table all by myself. I am sad and alone, and all the kids are looking at me like, there goes Charlie again, back in timeout. Then it's circle time, which I love, but it's very hard for me to sit still. I feel all jumpy inside. My brain is telling me not to move, but my body just wants to keep going. I get this idea to hop up and down like the frog in the book we're reading. The other kids start to get up and jump just like me, but in her angry voice, Miss Tina tells everyone to sit right back down. Then she looks at me and says that since I can't control my body, I have to go sit at a table away from the group. I am always getting into trouble. Later on the playground, a bunch of kids are playing a chasing game that looks like so much fun. I join in. I'm going really fast and I'm getting so excited. I get really close to Layla and tag her, but she falls down and shouts, "You can't play, Charlie." Miss Tina shouts, "Charlie, you can't play with your friends if you're going to hurt them. Tell Layla you're sorry and take a time out." I didn't mean to hurt Layla. I am so mad I pick up a whole handful of mulch and throw it. Miss Tina says, "Okay, Charlie, you're done. Time to call Mom to pick you up." Mommy arrives and is fuming, like in the cartoons when the fire comes out of people's ears. Miss Tina tells her, as if I'm not even there, Charlie has no self-control and is putting other kids in danger. He can't come to school if he can't behave. My mommy starts to cry. She asks what in the world is wrong with me and how is she supposed to work if she can't take me anywhere? If I can't go back to school, I won't get to learn how to be a good friend, which I want so badly. And I won't get to learn all that cool stuff Miss Tina shares with us at circle time, or make those fun projects, or be in charge of the calendar, or give out snack, all those things that make me feel like such a big boy and a team player. Now I feel even more out of control inside, not less. So children like Charlie are not purposely misbehaving or making trouble. They have what we call regulatory challenges. This means that their sensory systems have a hard time controlling their reactions to emotional and physical stimulation, which leads to impulsive and disorganized behaviors. Stress and chaotic environments at home and in the community can also result in poor self-regulation. When children feel out of control on the inside, they act out of control on the outside. The fact is that even without challenges to their sensory systems or significant stress in their worlds, children under 3 have very little self-control. Challenging behaviors rarely surface overnight. The roots are often seeded in infancy and toddlerhood. Parents and other caregivers need support in identifying babies' unique needs, providing sensitive, responsive care from the start, and helping children learn to manage their strong emotions and impulses, not shame and punish them for behaviors they cannot control. Punitive, harsh approaches erode children's self-esteem, decrease their ability to self-regulate, and lead to an increase versus reduction in maladaptive behaviors. When children are expelled, they are further victimized. They lose their opportunity to learn to function effectively in a group, and they miss out on all kinds of learning opportunities. Parents lose what should be a source of support, a teacher who helps them understand their child and provides crucial support and guidance. When children are expelled, this naturally increases parent stress, further taxing their patience and their ability to engage in positive parenting practices to the child's further detriment. So now let's go to take 2, Charlie and Miss Patty. Hi everyone, my name is Charlie. I just turned 3 and I'm on my way to preschool. So you already know we had a really stressful morning, that my mommy is mad about my dilly-dallying, and that I had a really hard time separating from her at school because we were in a bad place. But this time, Miss Patty is in charge. She comes over with the warmest smile and says to my mommy, "Tough morning, huh? Don't I know about those?" Wow, my mommy relaxes a little. Then Miss Patty crouches down to my eye level and says, "Charlie, we are so glad to see you. I know it's hard to say goodbye to Mom sometimes, but she needs to go do her job. And guess what? You also have an important job. That's right, feeding the fish." I see Mommy give a big smile to Miss Patty. Then she gives me a big hug and tells me that she knows I'm going to be a great helper and have a great day. I am so proud and excited to help Miss Patty that I don't even watch my Mommy go out the door. Then Joey arrives. I am so happy to see him. I pull in his arm to take him over to the sand table. Oh no, he says I'm hurting him. But I didn't mean to. I just wanted him to play. Miss Patty comes over and gently puts her hand on mine and says, "Are you trying to get Joey's attention, Charlie?" "Exactly, Miss P, spot on." Then she explains, "Grabbing someone hurts, and I know you don't want to hurt Joey. So let's find another way to let him know what you're thinking, like using your words. Can you tell Joey what you want to do with him?" And with her help, I do. Then Joey and I have so much fun building a sand cave for our animals. Next, it's circle time. Miss Patty knows how hard it is for me to sit still, so she gives me a squishy ball to squeeze so I can move my body without disturbing the group. Miss Patty really gets me. And then, when I start to hop up and down like the frog in the book, instead of getting mad at me, she suggests that we all get up and act out the story. She turns my idea into something that makes everyone happy. Later on the playground, a bunch of kids are playing a chasing game that looks like so much fun. I get really close to Layla and tag her, but I push too hard by accident and she falls down. Miss Patty comes over and says, "Charlie, it looks like your body got really revved up and you didn't know your own strength. You didn't mean to push Layla down, but it's still important to apologize," which Miss Patty helps me do. Then she has another great idea. She announces that we're all going to get our energy out by playing a game where we push each other on scooter boards to the other side of the playground. This way I can use all my pushing power, but in a fun, safe way that I can do with my friends. Now it's time to go home. When Mommy picks me up, Miss Patty tells her how much energy I have and how my body craves movement, and that it's not my fault. It's just how I'm wired. I think that's the funny word she used. She explains that we are working on ways to help me learn to control my body and my feelings, and how proud she is of me for trying so hard, because it is really hard work. Mommy looks so happy and she gives me a big hug. Yay! Miss Patty also tells Mommy that she has put a list in my backpack of stuff she and Daddy can do at home to help me be more in control at home, so we can have less anger and more love. So in this second scenario, we see the same behaviors, but a completely different reaction on the part of the teacher and a completely different outcome for the child. Why? Because Patty has had specific training on understanding the root causes of challenging behaviors. She has also benefited from the modeling and support of her supervisor on how to remain empathic and loving while also setting appropriate limits, providing Charlie the tools he needs to cope and adapt in a group setting, skills he will need to succeed and thrive in the outside world. Equally important, Patty's program sees parents as partners. They don't blame or criticize, alienates families. They are empathic to the challenges parents face and see their role as helping parents understand and nurture their young children's healthy development. Indeed, while we are focused today on early childhood programs and supporting caregivers, it's important to note that we also need to support parents in nurturing positive social emotional development starting from birth. Quality programs do both.
Program strategies to prevent suspension and expulsion. Develop strong partnerships with the families, with other professionals such as mental health consultants, the Early Childhood Intervention, which is ECI, local education agencies, which is the LEA, and local support groups. Provide strong supports for staff, such as a site-based manager. What they would be doing would be modeling in the classroom with the staff, conducting the observations, and providing guidance, such as maybe moving the classroom around, trying new activities like transition activities, or providing them the opportunity to take breaks if needed. If the classroom is very overwhelming, then the manager should be able to recognize that the staff need to step out for a little bit so they can come back and be recharged and re-energized to be able to work with the children. The Head Start director, what their role would be is to provide the staff with training opportunities. We have been really fortunate that our Head Start director and our CEO has provided training opportunities for us, whether it's local trainings that we can attend or being able to go out of town and attend different meetings and conferences so we can learn more things about working with our children. The mentors and coaches are also a strong support team for our teaching staff. They will be role modeling, they will help with classroom management, classroom room arrangement. They will be that support system for the teachers as well. The Disability and Mental Health Services Department, what we would be doing is we would provide maybe a special needs assistant to be assigned to that classroom. We also do the observations and we do the developing of the ABC behavior plans. And then we start the ball rolling with the mental health consultant referral. Now, the agency has developed clear and consistent policies. We have our policies in our handbooks, and then we have our department manuals as well that include our policies and procedures. The Center of Variance Behavior Policy is a modified schedule developed by a child staffing committee to continue to provide Head Start services to maximize scheduled time in the classroom and to provide an individualized plan of action. In unusual circumstances, when despite the provisions of a well-managed classroom, supplemented by well-implemented behavior and mental health interventions, a child's aggressive behavior presents a significant threat to his or her safety or the safety of others, the program may have to consider alternative means of serving the child and family. The purpose of the Center Variance Plan is to ensure that the parent and primary caregiver is continuously involved in the treatment and therapy of the child. Center Variance is approved only by the Disability and Mental Health Coordinator and Head Start Director. The Child Staffing Committee will work together to create a modified schedule. Center Variance will be monitored by the Child Staffing Committee and reevaluated as needed. Here are some ways our program provides mental health and wellness information to our staff. The Disability Mental Health Support Group is made up of teachers, family advocates, coaches, mentors, SNAs, technicians, and some coordinators. The group will discuss topics in reference to disability and mental health services. The staff will have the opportunity to learn ways to deal with stress through meditation and exercise and some dancing as well. And the group participates in team building activities too. The Employee Mental Wellness event is held annually, and at this event, the agency recognizes the employees for their commitment and longevity with the agency. And also we have a spokesperson that comes in and provides us with some information in reference to health and mental health issues. The seat meeting that we have provided for the parents and family advocates to attend is held on a quarterly basis. It's called the SEAT meeting because it's an acronym for the Social Emotional Awareness Team. Through the agency's health insurance, they offer the Go 365 to all the employees, which is a great opportunity for the employees to earn points and to be able to get some rewards for either their money saving tips or their mental wellness activities that they do, and the exercising that is a way to help the overall health of the employees. Congratulations, you completed the 411 Mental Health Services training. Now we're going to go over the training agenda. Number 1, the site-based managers do not need to complete the tools for supervisors' observation forms. Answer is false. Number 2, completing the ABC data log will help the teaching staff analyze the child's behavior. True. Number 3, the mental health service log are completed by the assigned special needs assistant. True. Sending the child home for misbehaving puts the child at risk for maltreatment by the parent or guardian. True. Number 5, the Head Start Performance Standard supports the suspension and expulsion of children because of behavior. False. Thank you everyone for joining. If you have any questions or concerns in reference to this training or any other questions you may have, please forward them to your site-based manager. They will be compiling a list of questions, and they will be submitting to the coordinators. So feel free to give any input, or if you have any questions or concerns, please get with your site-based manager, and they can get with me via email or cell phone. Thank you. Y'all have a great rest of the summer. Be safe. Wash your hands.